Hey, welcome to RacerXOnline.com. I'm Kris Keefer. We are at Fox Raceway today to test the 2025 Kawasaki KX450. I almost said new KX450, but that is not the case here. We have some minor refinements to the 2025 KX450. We have a little bit of a different air filter element. The air box is the same, but the actual element is a little bit more domed shape for a little bit more surface area. And we have some new ECU mapping on the 2025 KX450. And also the KX FI calibration tool, the app that they have here. There's more parameters for 2025. The ignition side of things, last year you're only allowed to adjust plus or minus 1. Now we can go up further than that. So we're gonna play around with the app, see if we can get some more power out of her, and just see what this bike is entailed for you guys out there in 2025. One thing to note as well, we complained about this grommet that was in the airbox last year. That is now not a part of the 2025 bike, which is a good thing, because right when we ripped that thing out last year, the bike got completely different, much better off low end and the front side, so better power delivery. So then the 2025 edition, that does not come inside the airbox. That is good. But otherwise, same suspension, same engine package, same frame. Also, from what you guys are telling me on my email, you guys are worried about the frame from 2024. Some of that recall that was out there, that has been fixed, so there is no issues with that. So we're gonna start fresh here right now at Fox Raceway. Stay tuned. I grabbed a couple new guys today to test. Someone that hasn't ridden a 450 a while, and then another guy that's usually on a different brand. So get a couple of different opinions. We'll get right back to you and let you know all about this green machine. All right, wrapped up here, 2025 Kawasaki KX450 at Fox Raceway. Busy Friday afternoon here. I got my guy Trevor Reis, brand manager for Maxima Racing. And I called Trevor. One, he needs to ride more, so I got him to ride. Number two, I feel like he's a good rider for photos and video, and he can give some good feedback. Instead, I've had a lot of time on this bike, so I want some new blood, some new opinions. So I got Trevor out here to give you an overview of his opinion on this bike. We'll kind of banter back and forth with what he thinks, but initial impressions, hopping on this thing, what do you think?
For me, it was really easy to ride. Like, that's the first thing I noticed, and having not ridden for a while, for me to be able to go out and just find some feel pretty quickly, be able to kind of put the bike where I wanted to go and get comfortable hitting some of the jumps and stuff like that. So overall, the power is very manageable. Each gear, I feel, is in that correct range for that specific gear where you want to be on the track. So yeah, first thing I noticed, just really easy to ride.
Yeah, so very manageable power. Nothing's changed from 2024. ECU mapping has been slightly altered, but basically pretty much the same. We do have more parameters. You can go to my website, KeeferInkTesting.com. I'll have some optional Kawasaki maps that you can try. So with that now in 2025, there's a little bit more range you can adjust to get a little bit more power. If you want a little bit more low end, we're able to do that, especially on the ignition side. So more parameters on the ignition side, which is very important. Last year, we'd only could do minus plus 1, not very big, so not really doing much. Again, if you guys are looking for an easy to ride 450, and Trevor probably can have my back on this, like, there's a lot of power within this 450. When we say, hey, it's smoother, it's slower, I like that word. What he used was manageable. It allows you to actually ride the bike versus having the bike ride you. And in the world of like a Yamaha, a Honda, those bikes are a lot of bike. You get on this thing and you actually can manage if you could do a 20-minute moto. If you did a 20-minute, I feel like this would be the bike to do that.
Yeah, I agree. And so across the board, very, very easy to ride. I mean, for myself personally, I'd be looking for a little bit more off the bottom, which I know there's a few things you can do. Obviously, you can make those adjustments, but yeah, first thing I definitely noticed is just got comfortable quick and was able to just kind of start doing some laps on it.
Real quick story here. So I went on the vet track today because it was quite busy on the main track and they had split practices. So I've never ventured out on the vet track. I mean, ever, I don't think. I think maybe one time. And I've had probably the most fun that I've had on a dirt bike the last few weeks. It's been a struggle for me the last few weeks. Pretty tired, worn out, not pumped on riding a lot. You know how you go through those ebbs and flows of that. So this bike, along with a fun track for me, it's just easy to ride. It's very friendly and fun, and you can ride second gear, you can ride third gear. There's a wide range that you can ride this bike. So for me, the engine, yes, it is slower, but I like that because I can actually ride it. So that is nice. Suspension for me, a little bit soft. Trevor and I are similar in weight, 175 pounds. What do you think?
Yeah, overall it's going to be too soft for myself, but it was still comfortable. Didn't do anything funky. If you're hitting your marks and doing what you need to do on the track, like for me, it was comfortable. So nothing out of the ordinary. I guess I noticed. Just overall would need to be sprung for myself.
Yeah, if you guys are aggressive, if you guys are racing, I would say, yeah, you're going to need some springs if you're north of 180 pounds. But for guys like Trevor, hey, I'm just getting back on a bike, I want to have some fun. I feel like this suspension is plenty capable enough for you guys out there in stock form. Another thing that I really like is ergonomics. You get on a Honda, a red bike, and it feels good right away. I feel like the Kawasaki is very similar to that. You're 6 foot, 6'1". What do you think about that?
Yeah, just overall position of the motorcycle, where I'd want to sit on the seat, controls, everything like that was really comfortable. The bike over the years, I have ridden the Cowie, the last 3 or 4 years of the 450 model. So the bike has definitely gotten slimmer, which I do like. I feel like the bike's found a little bit more when you talk about just feeling rigid and things like that. So it's not as reactive to some things that I noticed on prior models. So like in a straight line, the motorcycle is very comfortable, stays planted. The other thing that I really liked was the front brake on this motorcycle. So for myself, I was always very picky on that on-off feeling. That's what I like. I don't want any kind of sponginess or give in that front brake. So the main thing I noticed with that front brake is it's really on and off, and I use the front brake in a lot of different areas, whether that's coming into the turn, getting that front tire to track, and things like that. So the lever was, I felt in a really comfortable position, and I had really good feel initially on that front brake. Yeah,
Brembo front brake. You have a Nissan rear brake, which is kind of an odd combo, same as last year, but nonetheless, I'm a fan of the Brembo brake. I use that Brembo on a Yamaha. They come with a Nissan, but I use a Brembo system just because there's a lot of power, and for me, it's very usable. If you guys haven't had a chance to ride a good front brake, it's hard to get away from a Brembo just because I have so much feel and so much power that I can dive into the corners longer. And it's nice that Kawasaki brought Brembo to their lineup, and I think that's going to happen over on the 250 side as well. Don't quote me on that, but I think that will happen in 2025. Overall, something that you could do without on this bike, something that you say, okay, man, this bike needs help in this area.
For me, it would just be in the power.
Yeah.
That's the main thing I'm looking for. My career was predominantly on Yamahas, and I rode that newer generation bike that had a lot of bottom and was really strong off that bottom end. So I'm accustomed to riding a bike like that. So that'd be the main thing for me on this. Overall, would just be looking for a little bit more off the bottom end for myself.
Easy to do, guys. Pipe, a little bit of mapping, and I think you got some of that low end back. So for me, easy to build this bike and make it better. In the world of new age 450s, you're looking to detune. Easier to make power than actually try to smooth the power out. So for me, this platform is quite friendly to ride for us vet guys and those guys that want to have fun. Surprise guest today. I saw Ronnie at Loretta Lynn's last week, and we started talking, and he said he's coming out to California. So I go, let's put him to work. He's a 350 guy. A lot of you hit me up and say, hey, this KX450 is like a 350, Keefer. So why not bring in a guy who races a 350, who has a 350, who owns one? Ronnie does that. So he rode the KX450 today. I'm going to let you handle this sucker right here. I'm going to let you break it down and tell the Church of 350 lovers out there what this bike's like.
Yeah, there is quite the church, isn't there? I'm probably one of the lead members of it at this point. I love my 350, so pretty impressed with the Cowie. You know, the fit and the feel was legit. You know, I've been a KTM guy for a long time. I mean, there's no way around it since 2003, so it's hard.
Wow,
to get
that
the
long.
Orange grips out of my hand, you know, but hopped on this thing, felt pretty comfortable right away. First thing I noticed, being a 150-pound scrawny dude, probably could use a softer rear shock spring. They got the sag fairly close, and it was just overpowering the front a little bit, but definitely some great forks on the machine. Everything handled well. It stayed planted. Handling, I guess everybody expects that out of a Cowie anyways, right? And I think the real matter at hand would be the power, which I did notice. Did not feel like a 450.
Yeah, correct.
Didn't have that girth.
Yeah.
You know,
that
all you
meat
men are looking for out there.
Yeah, exactly.
But at first I was like, I don't know if I was disappointed, because as a former pro, or I don't know where I fit in, freestyle guy, I do like to really get in there every once in a while and dump the throttle when you got a 450, but I'll be the first one to say when the track's rough, I'll override the crap out of it and be tired and wore out and getting kicked like a Bronco Billy, you know? So I kind of got my bearings on it first session. It's like a madhouse out here. It's like
the 91 freeway.
It is like the national practice days out here today. So I had to kind of get my bearings and learn the track and get into it. Got pumped up a little, but being that the handling was so good, it was fine. But I did learn the second session. The harder I rode it, the better it felt. You know, I think there's sections where I would like to have a little more of that grunt out of the corners. And I kind of think my 350 might actually have it in some areas of the power band. But it did have a little more, I would say, a mid to top bark when you really dumped it in there. Maybe a gearing thing, maybe one bigger on the back might tighten up second and third a little bit. But all in all, pretty impressive bike, and I say that because of when I rode it more aggressive, that's when I liked it better.
So that's what we try to talk about here is like, I feel like it's a little heavier feeling than a 350, but it has that smooth, easy to ride character like a 350. I concur with Ronnie where I almost feel like the 350 has more low-end RPM response, just more excitement. I feel like this has more of a lazier, richer, smoother, broader feel. But nonetheless, mid to top, girth, meat, those key words that we used here. I like that, by the way.
The track was moist today, you know?
Wow. This is the interview that I've been waiting for.
What do you expect? What do you expect? I've been out of the interview saddle a while. I got to get it back in. Freestyle, baby.
This is an easy-to-ride 450. If you guys are unhappy with your KTM 350 and you're looking for a Japanese brand to go to, maybe this is your flavor. I feel like you like that character. You like that smooth, easy-to-ride character, and this could be it. Obviously, you came off the track going, I forgot how good spring forks were.
Yeah, I mean, when I ride the rough sections of the track, which you have to here at Palo when everybody's hauling butt, you just have to hit the main groove, and there's some rough spots. You do notice the forks are pretty consistent. I'm still an orange bleeder deep down, and I guess I have to admit that, but those forks are sweet.
Yeah, so if you guys are looking for a 450, a little bit more meat, mid to top end, and just if you guys are racing, some of you guys are like, man, I can't get off the start on my 350. I don't want to build my 350 up to the hilt. This is actually a nice middle ground for you, I feel like. You're going to have some more punch out of the gate, especially if on a longer straight start drag, you'll have some more of that torque feel, especially in third gear. And it's just friendly to ride. To note, to add to Ronnie's point on the fork, you normally think a Kawasaki is a rear-end steering machine. Villopoto was like that for years. The older chassis was more rear biased. This chassis is more front wheel biased for me. I have a lot of front wheel feel on lean angle. So for Kawasaki, this is actually new. Coming from 24, riding this thing a lot, I couldn't believe when I switched bikes how much more front end traction I got on the Cowie versus a Yamaha or even a KTM. So if you are a front end steering guy, this Kawasaki will oblige you, and it actually rewards guys that do that. So for me, I like that. I'm a front end steering guy, so I lean more towards that way. Hydraulic clutch for me, I'm a cable guy, but I do like the linear feel of this clutch. I do notice under load sometimes when it does get hot, I feel the lever moving. I went to a Hinson clutch basket and the whole system last year, and I like that. That prevented that from happening. But you guys might feel that when you're under load coming out of a soft corner, you'll feel that lever kind of move on you. I wasn't used to that, but going to a better basket for me actually helped that. Front brake, you're a Brembo guy. Did you notice the front brake?
Yeah, the fit and finish of the brake, everything felt good to me, and maybe that, I didn't realize I had a hydraulic clutch, but it definitely felt comfortable to me. Yeah. So it made me think about when you said clutching as well. Like I did feel with maybe the less bottom or that taller rear, having a tall rear end, rear gear, that know that I was clutching it a little more than I normally would a 450, maybe even more than I would my 350.
Yeah. So there is little things you got to get used to coming off an orange buck, but I feel like this is a good medium if you're looking to get off your 350 and switch to a Japanese brand. So don't forget, you can always email me. Virtual door is just cracked open for you to peek in there, ask some questions. Kris at KeeferInkTesting.com is my email. Happy to help you guys out there. And don't forget, do you still read magazines?
Yeah, every once in a while I can read, believe it or not. I mean, as long as there's a lot of pictures. You know, when Cudby pictures are in there, I'm all about that magazine.
There's the GOAT right there, the GOAT. He has some pictures in there. 12 issues, $30, Racer X magazine. Stuff that you can't see online, featured in the magazine. Don't forget to subscribe. Get a free gift when you do it. And we'll be back, because you know what? It's 2025 season. You're going to see a lot of this ugly face, so stay tuned.